Check. We're live. You guys, we are live with the biggest podcast I've ever done in my whole entire life. Yes, my hair may be long. I'm wearing this homeless man jacket, but I did it. We got through it. 3 big interviews, 3 big guests. We got Jackie Buntan, Bob Perez, and the one and only, Kevin, the Soul Assassin Ross. You guys, my hero, if you guys don't know anything about me, you guys are just here for the guests. So I was a FedEx driver. I was a FedEx driver driving in 2018. And I started listening to podcasts, started listening to books and about successful people. Not self-help books, but more of just autobiographies, like coaches and athletes and what they went through. Kevin Ross, his story and what he went through, it's helped me. It's helped me come into my own. Like, it pushed me to be better, to be a better person. I'm probably not going to be that elite Muay Thai fighter. And why? Because I just got so much going on. Right? But it changed my life. Like, I wouldn't be here. Like, if he didn't get on a mic and start talking and be vocal, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Like, there's a few people out there that really changed my life through a voice. It's the reason why I sit down on this mic for no money at all, just because I love to do it, and it changes people's lives, changed my life. And if I could just reach one person to find Muay Thai, American Muay Thai, I hope I do. But I just want to say thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for joining me today. This is Clinched Up with me, Jesse Diaz. American Muay Thai podcast, everything and everyone American Muay Thai. I just want to say thank you for being here. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, do all that stuff. It really goes a long way. Like I said, I do this for free, and it takes a lot of effort. I'm not going to lie. And you guys, each one of these guests today, I was shaking before I interviewed them. So if I sound nervous, I was. But I'm trying to get better at it. And relax. And so first up, we're going to have Kevin Ross. Then we're going to have Bob Perez and Jackie Buntan. Bob Perez, I actually been watching his striking videos for a while now. And the fact that he has Lauren Murphy fighting Valentina Shevchenko, and then he has Derek Lewis fighting Cyril Gane. Like, that's huge. Both championship fights. Awesome. And I can't wait to see both of those fights. And then you got Jackie Buntan, who's coming into one championship Muay Thai and taking on 2 top fighters and beating both of them. She beat the brakes off of Wonder Girl, right? Wonder Girl Fairtex. Dominated. Like, her punches looked from round 1 to round 3. Her punches and speed power, the punch power and speed power look the same. Look exactly the same. Like, it just, she didn't like gas, like nothing went down a level. Amazing fight. If you guys haven't watched that, just look it up on YouTube. It's there. Amazing fight. And then being able to talk to Bob Perez, because he doesn't have a great professional fighting career, right? He says it. He wasn't that much of a fighter. Like, he didn't have a career, like a long career. And he became a good coach, a great coach, on his way to being a staple, right? Someone that's remembered as having champions in the UFC. And being able to talk to him inspired me, because at the end of my career, like, I do want to coach. I love coaching. Coaching is like seeing kids progress and then seeing adults progress, coming to you and saying, hey, I want to learn how to do this. I love breaking stuff down. It could be anything. Like, when people ask me for podcasting, like, how do I do this? It's like, all right, you ready? I want to teach you. But then it takes a certain kind of person that really wants to learn, right? But I had fun with all 3 of these guests, asking them questions. But it was an amazing. Like I love this. My friend Gloria, she messaged me. She said that like you're doing what you love, and she's right. I am doing what I love. Like this is why I keep on doing it. Like I'm getting to talk to people that like that have really inspired me. Like from fighting to watching their fights to coaching, like just and being like what they say too. Like it's an awesome feeling. And then for Muay Thai news, their Yakkao just announced. Well, I seen an article saying that Philip Villa, the owner, he's opening up a operation in Los Angeles. I don't know what that. It doesn't really say what it's going on. It was on LA Weekly. It doesn't say what he's going to be doing over there. I don't know if he's going to be opening up a store. Is he going to be opening up promotions, like fight promotions, like having fight cards, American fight card, Muay Thai fight cards? It doesn't really explain what he will be doing in Los Angeles. Are they just going to be doing clothing? Because you guys, their clothing, it's one of the best out there for martial arts. Just how flashy it is in their sportswear, right? But if they could come to California and start bringing fights over here, high-level fights, that'd be amazing. I messaged Philip Villa. Hopefully he gets back to me. If you guys know him, hit him up or send him my way. I do want to interview him about what's going on. It'd be awesome. The more Muay Thai products or promotions, the better, right? Even though it's like we all want Triumphant to succeed, there has to be way more. It can't just be Triumphant. If we want this thing to grow, there has to be a lot of people out there, right? UFC wouldn't get better if there wasn't a one championship or a Bellator or something to push them, right? And because you guys see what one championship's doing, and they're doing amazing, right? I really like the Muay Thai. Like when you listen to the podcast, to the interview with Bob Perez, he says that the 3-ounce gloves, it's different. I don't know. I like it. Like I like what they're doing over there. They got Iron Man, Rototang. The way he fights, his fighting style, it's amazing. Gosh darn it, that's what I didn't ask Kevin Ross. If he how he felt about that. God damn it. But I love that. The one championship, small gloves, Muay Thai. I love it. I know Purist. I don't know if Purist will care about the gloves, but it's amazing. But so if you guys know Philip Villa, send him my way so we could talk about it. And then Lerdsila retired. Just recently retired over the weekend. He had his last fight. He didn't really say much on Instagram, but he retired. You guys, it's funny because the casual fight fan doesn't know about Lerdsila and how his movement, how exciting it is to watch. Like it's mind-boggling because people are like, oh, this fight's boring when they're watching UFC. This fight's boring. It's just they're on the cage. They're not really doing anything. But then they won't watch. I don't know whose fault it is. Is it the promoter's fault? Is it the fighter's fault? Or is it just the fans' fault American fans for not watching? Like Lerdsila is like so exciting to watch the way he fights. If you guys don't know who he is, look him up. But congratulations on a long career. And he'll be retiring. He just retired over the weekend. But this weekend, WCE, Muay Thai and MMA action. I have my my teammate Nashi Ramirez fighting on that card, Muay Thai, making her second fight in amateur Muay Thai. And then you have a whole bunch of California amateurs on that card. It's stacked with a bunch of people I know, and the talent on that card is amazing. The MMA and Muay Thai side. Yeah. But so it should be fun. I'll be there. Strike is going to be there with the whole Strike fan bam. I'm going to be supporting Nashi. And it is nerve-wracking to see somebody that jump in there, right? But she's been training hard, working her ass off, and we'll see what happens. She's going to whoop that girl's ass. Nashi, like, you guys don't understand. Let's talk about Nashi real quick. Nashi's my teammate. She's a tattoo artist, and she deals with schizophrenia. You know, I say it all the time, but what she's done is amazing. You know, like, you talk about not giving up. You talk about not letting things get to you and just keep on going forward. That's Nashi. Like, her whole life, like, is about that, and I'm so proud of her because like, she's dealt with this mental health her whole entire life, and then she's doing something like tattooing. That's not an easy job. That's a hard gig to get to being a professional tattoo. You got to spend like 2 years just doing it for free, and just being like I don't want to say slave at the tattoo shop, but being someone that's just dumping all the garbages out, standing around, looking around, like, trying to just see how people tattoo. And she did that, and now she's a professional tattoo artist. And then also she's doing something else like Muay Thai. That's not easy either. And she's doing this while having a mental health disorder, schizoaffective disorder. I'm proud of you, Nash. I'm proud of you. But she'll be fighting. Can't wait. Again, thank you guys for listening. I'll get out of your way so you guys can listen to the guests. Kevin Ross, Bob Perez, and Jackie Buntan. You guys, if you guys like the show, share it. Subscribe on all the audio platforms to YouTube. Add me on Instagram, Jesse the Hassle Diaz. If you're watching this on a video and you want to listen because you're driving in the car, we're on all the podcast platforms. Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, all of them. Okay? So just want to let you know. I love you guys. American Muay Thai for the win, guys. Have a great day. Have a great week. Kevin Ross, Bob Perez, and Jackie Buntan. Love you guys. Peace.
Round 1. Fight.
All right, today I got Kevin Ross, the face of American Muay Thai, and a hero of mine, by the way. And I'm just going to jump right into the questions. Kevin, during your career, it takes a lot of hard work and belief doing what you did. I just wanted to talk about how you found your belief in yourself, and were there any moments when you lost that belief during your career?
I guess it was real, like a progressive thing, you know, just like I always use that analogy of lifting weights. You know, you don't all of a sudden lift like 500 pounds. You got to start with 1 pound, and then 2 pounds and 3 pounds. And that's kind of how it went with, as far as like that self-belief went, because I guess I just felt like I spent the first half of my life in the opposite direction, like no belief in myself whatsoever, no outlook on life, no feeling like I could make it anywhere or do anything or be anyone. And it wasn't so much a self-belief that got me started. It was more of I'm going forward regardless. I don't know where I'm going to end up. It's not necessarily that I believe in myself. It's just that I believe in that I refuse to quit. And I don't know where I'm going to get with this. But I'm just going to keep going this direction, because I put it in the context of life and death, basically. So it wasn't that I knew where I was going or I'd be good or I had no idea where this was even headed. I just knew where I was headed, going in the other direction. So that for me took away a lot of those questions, because I knew that the only way I could find the answer is just to keep going regardless of what was going on. So I don't really feel like I ever had self-belief so much, more just that I knew that I wouldn't give up. You know, I wouldn't quit. I wouldn't slow down just because things were painful or uncomfortable or not going the way I wanted. You know, it was really just about making a decision and going forward no matter what happens. And I feel like that's really the unifying factor for anyone that really makes it anywhere. It's not it's not necessarily about their belief in themselves or their talent and ability. It's just in their refusal to stop and to continually put the work in, to progress, to not use their failures or limitations as an excuse to not make it. They're like, all right, this is how it is. What do I need to do to get better? What do I need to go forward? Just need to keep working, keep striving, keep getting stronger, keep getting better, keep figuring out ways to do it, how not to do it. um, that's really all it was really about, you know.
Is that something that you're able to teach to somebody, or do they have to find that on their by themselves?
You definitely have to find it in yourself. You can give people advice, of course, and I think a lot of sharing your story with people, sharing the things you had to face and overcome, that really like humanizes us all and makes us all realize the people that do make it, and we are viewing, aren't so different than everybody else. You know, we always put them in this context of you have to have this certain thing to make it, really. And um, I think that keeps a lot of people from going after stuff because they look at the things they're lacking in comparison to that person. Like, I'm not I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not whatever, any situation you can put in that context. But really, if you talk to these people and study them and learn their stories, you realize that they were all dealing with stuff you couldn't even imagine, you know. And that's why I really enjoy reading biographies and autobiographies about people who did make it to a certain point, because you're able to go back and view where they started from, everything they dealt with along the way, and it really shows you how difficult it is, and how it really all does boil down to the fact that these people just refused to give up, and they didn't use their um, circumstances as a reason not to. They had to use it as motivation.
And you said about reading about autobiographies, and one of the reasons where I am in my life, um, because I used to work for FedEx, I was unhappy, I was depressed, and then I found Muay Thai and I started training, and my whole life changed, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons was because you're vocal in particular. You,
No.
Gaston and Kieran were on Joe Rogan, and then it was Gaston and Kieran, and then you were on Joe Rogan by yourself. All
Uh-huh.
three of those podcasts, it comes full circle to my life, and it helped me out so much, and it showed me that I can relate to you. Your mind I can relate to a lot, and
Uh-huh.
it showed me how to be myself,
Yeah.
basically, and not fight it. And one of the things I love about your career is that you're an artist.
Yeah.
And how is your creative process? I always wonder, like, come out of training and do you go right to your art room, or do you spend Sundays drawing, or how do you do that?
No, that's actually one of the more difficult things for me to balance out, because training does take so much mentally and physically and emotionally. You know, by the time you're done with that, all you want to do is rest and recover so you can do it again the next day. So it was very difficult for me to maintain a lot of these other things that I do, with writing, with my artwork, um, and everything else in my life. But I realized a long time ago when I was younger, it's like, if you stop doing these things, you're going to lose them. Like the talent you don't use, because there is no picking it up later on. You know, it's just like in training. If when you stop training, you decline. You can't maintain. It takes so much work just to stay at a base level. You know, just to stay in relative shape, relatively sharp. That's like basic everyday stuff. That's not even real training and progression. So if you stop and take these breaks, you're going to decline, and you're going to be continually trying to get back to that place you started from. And that really goes across the board with everything that we do. So I had to find a way to balance all those out, but it was really just about maintaining my abilities in artwork and other things, as opposed to truly progressing, because um I do what do you call it? Prioritize what I was doing, and all of my time and energy and focus really went into training, because that is more of a we're on a very limited time frame of how long we can fight and get hit and that kind of stuff. So I always put that as my priority, although I did make sure I was maintaining my abilities in artwork, and I would, every fight or so I would make sure I was doing a big piece afterwards. That way I could not lose that.
Got it. And do you see yourself now being retired? Do you see yourself drawing a lot or doing art a lot more?
I hope so. Yeah, but who knows? The next there might be something else that takes away too, because it's not like I'm going to stop training. I'm not going to stop teaching. So, it's just trying to find a balance between all those things and steadily progress in everything that I do. And depending on the stage and time in my life, you just give a little more time and energy into one thing than the other, but continually juggling all those things.
It's funny because you said you're still going to be training. Retired as a martial arts, being a martial artist, like there's no retiring, right?
Yeah.
There's retiring from fighting, but you're constantly always going to train.
Yeah, and that's always I think an important thing. That mindset is what allows you to continually develop and progress, all regardless of how fights go, whether you win or lose or how often you're fighting. I think a lot of people put so much focus on that singular event, but when it's over, they just stop and they wait until they get another fight signed before they really start putting that work in, where you have all the time in between is where you really develop and can progress. But more often than not, people basically kind of take their foot off the gas and then wait until something comes up. But all this time you wasted that you could have been progressing and staying in shape, and sharpening up your tools, so that way when you do get to that point, you're at a higher level than you were before.
I wish you would have told me that when the pandemic started. So
I could have told you that if you had asked.
No, but my head coach Amber Pope, she was part of CSA, and she tells me stories. And looking back at the people that were there, especially when you were there training there, I believe, did you leave in 2013, 2014?
No, I went there in 2013, 12. That's when I started with them. And then I was there for 5 years, I think. So I just left three years ago, maybe.
And looking back, and sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to name all the people that were there when you were there. You had Miriam Nakamoto, I believe Eddie Abasolo, Gaston Bolanos, all these fighters. Zoila was there. You have this great bunch of fighters, and looking at it now, where Muay Thai is now, will there ever be a group of fighters that great in one gym ever again, do you think?
I'm sure, but like what most people don't realize is I did the bulk of my career before I even went to CSA, and that's where I did so many of my fights, like Sanchai, Malapet, and Coke, and Chike, and everybody else. That was all done prior to me ever even going to CSA. And that was when I was in Vegas. We had a ridiculous amount of people and fighters to train with, whether it was Muay Thai, MMA. That was probably the hardest part about leaving Vegas, was knowing that I was leaving that giant plethora of high quality people to work with. The thing I never had, though, was a coach, in the sense of someone really watching out for me, kind of helping promote me, helping get me fights, that kind of thing. I always had great training partners and great coaches as far as developing my skills, but not necessarily that person that's kind of watching out for you and taking care of all that stuff. And that was the one thing my real big motivator for moving up north to CSA, because I was giving up all of my training partners. When I moved there, Gaston was still a baby. I mean, he wasn't, he was still an amateur. He was just coming off some losses, and, you know, he wasn't the person and the fighter that he is today. He was just like he was like a little kid, you know, wasn't, especially when I first went there, he wasn't even somebody that I could necessarily even get good training in, you know, because he was, I mean, he's still kind of a baby. I mean, we definitely did good work and stuff. Same thing with Miriam. I mean, we never really worked together. I was just, when I started, I was just coming off of my knee surgery. So I was building back up from that. I think her first fight after her knee surgery was the week of my knee surgery. So it kind of all worked out that way. So the first, you know, year or two, I would say that I was up there, I didn't have any training partners. I didn't have anyone other than just working by myself and working with Kieran and pad work and stuff. But as far as a team, that was something that developed, that I helped develop. You know, Eddie came later on. You know, he was training at a different gym, and even when he first came, it was kind of been the situation in a lot of places that I went, that I kind of had to build it up once I got there. Not that it was there prior, and not to say that there wasn't great people there prior, but to have that roster of really great work, that wasn't there at all. And then that was something that just developed over time of the 5 years that I was there. Yeah, and just trying to, it's tough to develop that and have that, because you just don't have that. You basically have to build those teams up. Now, as far as that happening in the future, I don't know, man. Things are just different now. I'm sure there's always going to be waves of stuff, and different locations that have more people, you know, more of a team, a high level team, and less. So I mean, just finding high level people to train with is almost impossible. You know, you kind of have to build that, because most people are at that development stage, that lower stage. Yeah, maybe they're pros, maybe, but how many people would you consider world class? That's a very, very select few.
It gives me hope because I live in Los Banos, California, and Amber keeps on telling me you got to build your team. I was like, "There's
Yeah,
nobody
you just
around
gotta
here.
you
There's a
gotta
bunch of
build it.
cows around here. There's nothing over here." So,
Um,
but we're trying. We're trying.
yeah.
But last question, and I'll end it with American Muay Thai. Where do you see American Muay Thai headed? Are we gonna explode? Is it gonna stay where it's at?
It goes through waves. It goes through cycles. It kind of, it's a progressive thing. You know, it's just like everything else. It starts at a certain level. You try to build and grow, and there's certain things that are helping it move forward, and there's certain things that are making it decline, and it's just like this very painfully slow progressive thing. And every once in a while you do get that bump, like when Lion Fight started. That was a big bump up. You know, that was a step up, getting on national television, having that high level roster of fights continually, and it was a stable thing for a while. But then that fell apart and declined, and then almost made things worse to a degree. So that was just a developmental stage in Muay Thai in America, particularly. But then that kind of leveled off. So yeah, we progressed a lot, we built a lot, but I would say that we lost a lot of that too at a certain point. So now it's just at another limbo stage. You know, you got Triumphant picking up the reins as far as the promotion goes, but that's only one. You know, like what we need is many of these. Unfortunately, it really does tend to be um, of a small amount, or just one or two promotions, fighters, and just people in general that are really out there trying to push this sport, and stay in it for the long haul, and sacrifice everything that it takes to progress. And then there's everybody in between, which also, you know, it's like we're all part of this movement. We're all trying to get it forward. Everyone kind of has their place, but we all play our part.
And thank you again for doing this, Kevin. I'll give the last moment for you to promote anything, or where do people follow you, or anybody you want to promote?
All right. Yeah, I don't really have anything to promote. As far as following me on my social medias, the Soul Assassin, DA Soul Assassin. That's my Twitter and my Instagram. Those are usually the easiest ways to follow me and keep track of what I'm doing. But yeah, I don't have anything to promote. I'm just over here working, trying to get better and see what's next.
And I just, again, thank you. It's crazy because I was delivering for FedEx, driving, listening to you talk on Joe Rogan, and the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you about Muay Thai, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad, man. My pleasure.
Thank you, Kevin.
No doubt.
Welcome back, guys. We have Coach Bob Perez from Main Street Kickboxing in Houston, California.
Houston, Texas.
Houston. That I messed up. Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas. But you know, I do research on the people that I'm interviewing. I'm a big fan of yours. Before I even started podcasting, your breakdowns of fighting and stand up, and I'm diving into your story with all the interviews you've done. You're an incredible, well-versed guy. You found martial arts after graduate. Well, you found coaching martial arts late, and you didn't fight as long as a lot of other fighters, and you became a world-known coach.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you. Man, I was never really a fighter at all, man. I mean, I did amateur boxing. I was an amateur boxer, and I did, 5 or 6 Muay Thai smokers, and that was it, man. Like, I think my calling was in teaching and coaching. I was pretty tough, but honestly, bro, I don't think I was very good, but yeah, man, I boxed my whole life. From 8 to 18, I was in the boxing scene. And then I found Muay Thai in college. I'm almost 50 years old now,
And you went to college you're a biochemist?
Biochem, yeah, biochemical, biophysical sciences. And I worked in that field not really in that field. I did environmental toxicology for a long time. So I was a biologist / in-house chemist. And it's funny, man, because I've only been doing like coaching, like full-time for only about 5 years. I've been coaching professionally for 15 years, but only full-time 5 years. And my wife and I were talking the other day, I actually want to go back and get a second degree in anthropology. I've always been fascinated by the Aztecs and Mayans. I mean, it's part of who I am. And I don't know how I would do it, but I definitely want to study them a bit.
And it's interesting because you have all these things you've done in your life. You, even before you went to college, you were a standout baseball player, from what I've heard in your interviews. And
I was okay, yeah.
And knowing that your love for baseball, how was it being able to watch Black Beast throw out the first pitch?
Oh, dude.
Were you envious a little bit that you didn't get to throw out the first pitch?
Honestly, bro, no, man. I was so happy for him. That being said, I tease him every day because he just shit the bed with that one. Excuse my language. So I tease him every day, and I'm going to continue to tease him about that until we die, man. That was it was terrible. But that being said, he's my brother. I love him, and he knows that I'm just teasing him. The honor for him to do that was just amazing, man, and I was so happy for him, bro. I don't think he fully grasped how far 60 feet 6 inches is. So
yeah.
I took a big bag of baseballs to the gym every day in my glove. I'm like, bro, let's throw the ball around. And he's like, no, that shit's easy. I'm like, Derek, I'm telling you, we need to throw the ball around. Derek's hands, bro, are massive. The ball's not.
Yeah.
So I knew he was going to grip it for dear life. And so he's throwing it. I'm like, okay, he's good. Release. Still didn't release. He released about right here. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to be bad. So, yeah, dude, he messed that one up pretty bad. But But it was all in fun, man. It was a great honor, and I'm proud of my boy, man. I love him to death.
Awesome. And going into Derek Lewis and Lauren Murphy, I want to get into Lauren Murphy first because Lauren Murphy, she's going against one of the best stand-up strikers in MMA history, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, but I was looking back at Lauren Murphy's career. She fought Miriam Nakamoto. That was actually the infamous fight where Miriam popped her knee. And are you looking back at that fight at all going into the Shevchenko fight?
Man, no, two totally different types of Muay Thai fighters, Valentina and Miriam. They're both obviously very decorated, but different styles of Muay Thai. And that was when she fought Miriam. That was way before we met. We've only been together about 2 years. She's 5-0 since we've been together, and it's not me. It's kind of the team that we formed and kind of her evolving. But Lauren's a totally different fighter now. That being said, when you fight somebody like Valentina, and Valentina's my friend, we've taught a seminar together. She's trained at our gym before. She's a great person. Her and Antonina and Coach Pavel, they're amazing people. When you fight somebody like that has good Muay Thai or Muay Thai for MMA, which is really what it is. It's not Muay Thai. It's Muay Thai for MMA. She's really good. You don't play to her strengths, and that's as much as I can put into it. As like strategy or game plan. We're not going to kickbox her. That's the best way to put it. We're not going to fight her in a striking battle. And I'm not saying we're going to take it to the ground, but I am saying, even from a striking perspective, we're going to fight our fight. We're not going to fight her.
And also, congratulations on getting. I know the whole goal is not to get to the title fight, but it's to win the title fights. But it is an honor. I mean, it is a huge accomplishment to get to those 2 title fights. So congratulations on that. And now on to Derek Lewis. He's fighting Cyril Gahn, who's also a decorated Muay Thai fight, stand-up striker.
I would disagree with that 100%. Yeah. he's got like 7 Muay Thai fights, bro.
Yeah.
The UFC, of course, are going to say, "Oh, world class." No, he's not world class, man. He's not. He hasn't fought anybody in Muay Thai. He hasn't fought anybody recognized. Valentina's fought Muay Thai on a totally different level and so that I will disagree. The guy he can strike, but to say he's a Muay Thai fighter, I disagree completely.
He beat. I forgot the Muay Thai fighter's name, but he's a 5'10" guy that's 250 pounds. I think I forgot what his name is, but yeah.
No, Cyril is not Muay. No.
Okay. Yeah, and what happened?
He's got Sakyant on his chest. So do I. I'm not a Thai fighter,
And going into Derek Lewis, like one thing I really love about him, it's not the one punch power is awesome, right? And it's always cool to see, but his heart, the guy never gives up. Yeah. Like, it's all the power stays with them the whole entire fight.
Yeah, that's the thing with Derek, man. So Derek and I have been together 8 years, and when I first got him, I was going to try to make him as technically as I possibly could, and I would have ruined him if I would have done that. I've got WBC champions at our gym. Regis Progress trains at our gym. Shock Foster, Austin Trout. We've got Muay Thai fighters that have won world titles in Thailand. National amateur Muay Thai champions or IFMA champions. Derek Lewis is Derek Lewis. Lauren Murphy is Lauren Murphy. I never try to mold anybody into well, we're a Muay Thai gym, you have to fight that way. That's all bullshit. Derek is a brawler. He's all balls, all heart, and that's never going to change. And if I would have tried to make him this pretty fighter,
yeah.
And so there's no point in that. All balls, all heart. Historically, has been losing pretty much every round of every fight that he's fought in. He knocks every motherfucker out after that. Yeah. And the thing that blows my mind, he's coming in as an underdog. Derek has more wins in the UFC against ranked opponents, more wins in the UFC than Cyril has total fights. And Derek's coming in an underdog, but he doesn't have a fucking 6-pack. So all these experts are like, he's gonna lose. No, man. I think this is a great fight for Derek, man.
And not a question, but I just want to let you know I don't really get emotionally invested into fights. Like I just watch fights because I love watching fights. But when he fought Volkov, I was just so like, because I felt like in there, like I felt emotionally invested in that fight. So when he knocked him out, that was the loudest I've ever screamed in my whole entire life. My like,
Me too. Man. Absolutely.
yeah,
Get his ass kicked for the whole fight, man.
Yeah.
You know, and there's never an excuse, man. You know, you were flat out losing the fight. Derek's knee in that fight, that was, I think, 2 fights before he had his surgery. Back shot, knee shot. Historically, Derek wouldn't back up a lot in fights. And this, I mean, he just couldn't push forward. It hurt him to move. We couldn't even train properly. So as he's backing up, man, when you take a long striker like Volkov, man, he's just going to tee off. And that's what he did, man. He was blasting Derek. And then I gave him that speech going into the last round. And, man, I don't know if it was a speech or whatever, but I just lit a fire under his ass. But he did what he had to do, and he slept him, man.
That's awesome. And going on to your other fighters, you post a lot of pad work with Jacob Berry. That guy's a stud. Well, on the pad work, and I seen his a few of his fights, especially the TBA. They're on YouTube. And is he gonna be? Is he pro now?
No, he's not ready to go pro yet.
Yeah.
I'd say early 2022 he'll be pro. I think we're at like 15 or 16 Muay Thai fights right now. And Muay Thai is something that I think he's pretty much done with at this point. We were going to do TBA, this last TBA, because we had signed up way before. I was going to take him to Thailand, and all pre-COVID. We were going to go fight in Thailand, do TBA, A class, maybe get on the IFMA team if he won, and then be done with Muay Thai. I forgot why we couldn't go to TBA this year. Tickets were bought, everything was good.
Yeah.
And, his rib. He hurt his rib. So we could. But I think we're done with Muay Thai, man. The future's in MMA for us, and that's the route that we're gonna go.
And is that because of the career wise, like you make more money in MMA, or is it because he doesn't really like Muay Thai? Because I know in Muay Thai there's not that much money.
Yeah, I mean, we love Muay Thai, man. We love the culture and the respect and the art, and like my teacher Saxon, we love Muay Thai, but we're in this for the business, like you can say, I love Muay Thai, all you just fight Muay Thai, you'll be fucking broke, bro.
Yeah.
And I love that. But let's be real, man. This is a business, and we're in the fight business. We've got pro boxers, pro MMA guys. There's not a lot of pro Muay Thai guys that we have because we're not going to develop them that way because it's just the money's not there. You can go fight for one. I'm not a big fan of one. That's a totally different podcast, but they pay well. You go Muay Thai there,
And do you not like the small gloves, or is it just a personal thing, or is it
not Muay Thai anymore? If you want to be a purist, Muay Thai, but no, 4-ounce gloves. I have no issues with that, man. But it's just Muay Thai is beautiful. I love it, but that's just not the direction the majority of my fighters go.
Got it. And I got one more question for you, and I know you're a busy man, but how I don't want to ask you how Muay Thai how Muay Thai changed your life, because in all honesty, your story, I believe it's not really a Muay Thai story. It's more of you're a student of life.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not a Muay Thai purist by any means. My style is my style. My life is my life. Yeah, man, I think I think I've always kind of been one of those guys where I'm not afraid to really take chances, whether I fall on my ass or not. Been knocked out before, I've lost before in life, you got to get back up. And I don't think that was a lesson that or something that I got from Muay Thai.
Yeah. And how has you have said before that teaching is not you're born with it. You're not no one really teaches you how to teach. Can you explain that for the listeners?
I believe that wholeheartedly, man. Like I said, man, I wasn't made, I wasn't the best competitor or fighter. And I got into teaching kind of on accident. And the ability to relay information to people, the ability to back up information to people, prove information to people is innate. It's not something that I think I can't teach you how to teach. It's to me a God-given ability, in coaching as well. It's not meant for everybody, just like fighting isn't meant for everybody. But yeah, man, I think it's something that you can either do or you can't do. And it's not just relaying technical information. It's being sympathetic or empathetic to people. You have to wear different hats to be a good teacher, a coach, especially fight coach. I've got 100 fighters, man. You have to be, you have to be a marriage counselor some days. You have to be a best friend. You have to be a dad. You have to be, that technical coach. You have to be all of these things to truly get to your fighters. When I first started coaching, they called me the general because he was just like, bah, bah, bah. And so like my boxing coach was me, Saxon, Bob, you suck. Why you suck, Bob? Saxon is not everybody learns that way. Everybody, I like a lot more positivity in my teaching. If I have to say that there's an opportunity for you, I call it a shit sandwich, basically, man. It's going to be, a compliment, a little bit of negative reinforcement, and then a compliment. So I'll be like, hey, bro, man, the jab's looking really good. Footwork is dog shit, but man, you're really evolving overall as a fighter. So you kind of have that good balance of positive and negative. But yeah, bro, I'm long-winded, but yeah, I mean, you can't teach somebody how to teach.
Awesome. And I'm a big fan of Muay Thai. I don't know do you watch a lot of Muay Thai?
No, I used to, man. I'm a fan of the gold of Muay Thai, man. I like, like Rotang, like I like his style, of course, man. But like my style is like a Muay Mat style, which is like heavy hands. Like Ian Harrison. That's my style that I really like to teach, man. But no, to be honest with you, bro, I don't. American Muay Thai is. I have my circle of friends, Corley and Patrick Valor and Danny Branton and Mark Beecher and some of those guys. But other than that, dude, like, nah, I don't watch modern Muay Thai.
And last question. And how do we change that? How do we change Muay Thai from being this thing that nobody wants to go to? They'd rather go to MMA because of the money. Like, how do we change that?
You gotta remember, Muay Thai is about culture and tradition, and it's about passing it on. And I truly believe that with all of my heart. Michael Corley is he's president of IFMA, and he or the USMF rather. I'm sorry. We got together at about 2011, and when he got back from Thailand, his whole goal was to build Muay Thai. And Muay Thai awareness, especially in Texas. And I did it with him. We tried. And you have somebody like, Patrick Valor, who's out in Cali as well, doing like Muay Thai Development League. We've got like YDL Youth Development League. They're going in the right direction, I think, man. I think their heart's definitely in the right place. To answer your question, I don't know why. I don't know why people do it. Dude, so you can go to Mick Maynard's one of my best friends. He used to have LK, which is pretty much Glory, man. It was like Glory Rules Kickboxing here, Legacy Kickboxing. And there's fucking crickets in the crowd, man. And you had like Alexandre, you had Valentina fought there. You had some good fighters, man. We'd have 5 or 6 on every card. And they only did a few, but there's crickets in the audience. And then you go to a Submission Hunter Pro or, like a grappling event.
Yeah.
Fucking 3,000 people there, dude, to watch people roll. I don't watch a UFC, looking to see. I appreciate jiu-jitsu. I've been to jiu-jitsu as long as I've done Muay Thai, but like I appreciate it and I love it. But I don't want to see somebody get fucking choked. I mean, you want to see a knockout. That's what everybody wants to see. That being said, man, I don't know why it won't be, why it's not being followed or grown. I do think that we kind of need to change the attitude within the Muay Thai community as well. If you've got, I've got myself, that's not real Muay Thai. Man, fuck that shit, man. That's stupid.
Yeah. I was about to say that too. I like, and just getting into this world. I've only been into this world 2 years now. No, 3 years. into the Muay Thai world, and I'm a pretty like laid back guy. I don't really hate anybody, but I'm getting into this world, and there's a lot of clickiness, a lot of clickiness.
That's one reason that I stay out of it, man. I'm cool. I try to be cool with everybody, but I don't like that shit, man. I don't like it at all. It's been, that's part of the problem.
Well, Bob Perez, thank you for doing this. I got to research you. I got to listen to some of your interviews and then actually talk to you. I'm a huge fan now of just you in general, not just because you're Derek Lewis and Lauren Murphy's coach, but I wish you best of luck on both your fights. And the stage is yours to promote anything, whatever you wanna say.
Man, I just, you guys out there, support your local like fight scene, whether it's Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, combative sports in general. Support it, support the small shows, but especially Muay Thai. What I'd like to say is respect the art and the culture, not just kick his ass, the fighting. Respect where it comes from and how it comes, especially if you see somebody do the Y crew, the Ram Y. I see a lot of people hate on that, man. That's part of Muay Thai. It's part of what we do. So please respect the art and support your local gyms, your local fights. That's it, brother.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, brother.
We got
Final
Jackie
round.
Buntan. Tell me if I'm saying this right. Buntan.
Yep, you're doing it correctly, Buntan.
All right. Jackie Buntan. She fights out of one championship, and she has had 2 fights in professionally, but how many fights overall amateurly?
I guess 20 something. I honestly can't remember, but 20 something, I think.
And you're
Or
fighting
20.
out of Boxing Works and down south in Southern California.
Yes, out of Boxing Works.
Awesome. And watching you in one championship, I just want to say that it's awesome. Your style from the first round to the third round, your power and speed is the exact same.
Thank you.
And I just wanted the first question to be like, what's your strength and conditioning like when it comes to Muay Thai? Are you just doing straight Muay Thai, or do you have an actual strength and conditioning coach?
I have an actual strength and conditioning coach, Nick Curson from Speed of Sport. I've been training with him for since I was 18. I'm 24 now. So started out doing that 2 times a week. And then I got more serious with competing and fighting and, wanting to take things to a professional level. So we picked it up to 3 times a week. So pretty much strength and conditioning 3 times a week, every week.
Awesome. And it shows in your 2 fights and 1 championship. And how did you start your Muay Thai journey?
Yeah, I started when I was 11 years old. I was definitely a tomboy at that age. I was just always looking for new sports to do. And martial arts was definitely one that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Just all the schools around me were taekwondo, karate, and it never really interested me when I was that young. It just didn't really seem straightforward, I could use this to defend myself. And my brother-in-law was training Muay Thai at the time for fitness, and he introduced me to a couple moves, and I was just obsessed. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I was like, this is exactly what I want. It just seems so straightforward. These guys are punching, kicking each other. I could definitely use this to defend myself.
Going from amateur to pro, and I think you had one professional bout get canceled before you went into one championship. What was the thought process of going from amateur to jumping right into fighting Wonder Girl?
Yeah, it was a tall order, to say the least. I mean, like you said, I was supposed to make my pro debut on a local card here in California around the end of 2019, and that got canceled. So right around that time, we got the contract for one championship, which was amazing, perfect timing. Big believer of things happening for a reason, so it really worked out in my favor. And I was set to fight Amber Kitchen, a rematch fight, March 2020, right before COVID. That got canceled. So fast forward, that's already almost 2 years from not competing when I fought Wonder Girl. So it was a very tall order doing my first fight after almost 2 years with the MMA gloves on a professional level on a stage like one championship. So yeah, I had to really train my mind mentally throughout that camp. But when it was go time, it didn't matter.
Fighting under Janet Todd, um, someone that's really decorated, and being able to train with her constantly. How is it having somebody there that's been through it all, and that you're just starting your professional career?
Yeah, I mean, I till this day I'm just so grateful, and I it's so rare to be able to, one, have a teammate with the caliber of Janet Todd.
Yeah.
And two, it's being signed on the same organization and being able to compete during the same time. It's pretty insane. And I'm super lucky to have her as a training partner. She's a big part of my growth as an athlete and as a fighter.
You're just 24. You're barely starting your career, and being so young and having two amazing fights over people that are pretty well known in the Muay Thai world. Do you feel any type of pressure after these two fights, knowing that you're so young?
Um, the age isn't really pressure. I kind of use the age to my favor. I know I'm not going to be young forever, but I kind of think of it like, I had a great start with this company and I'm still young. So the sky's the limit for me. I know the sky's the limit. Um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely do, with more wins, especially in a professional league and one championship, there are eyes that start following you, where people want to fight you and prove themselves and stuff like that. And I'm on the same boat. So, there's added pressure, but that's all for myself, just wanting to be the best and be a better version of myself.
Do you find anything different from 10-ounce gloves to, I believe, 3-ounce gloves? Is there a difference?
They're 4-ounce gloves, but
4
there's
ounce.
a huge difference. Yes.
Is it
Like,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, everything really. It's from striking, and the biggest difference I would say is the defense on my end. Like, you got to be really tight with your defense. You could get away with shelling up and doing a long guard with the 10-ounce gloves, but you cannot get away with that in these 4-ounce gloves. You got to have your hands up high, and stuff will slip in.
How has Muay Thai changed your life?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, it's changed my life all for the better. I think without it, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I think I'm really lucky to have started it so young, because it just molded me and molded my personality. It's just made me such a grounded, humble person, really. And I just can't see myself changing or see myself without Muay Thai. And I think that's kind of where I get my discipline, my motivation, all that, and not only with training, but just stuff in general and life in general.
Going to Singapore and fighting in one championship, do you see any of people that you would like to fight? Like, so what's next for you after this?
Man, I mean, they already made it clear to one championship. My goal is to get the Muay Thai title, to have the Muay Thai belt, and I'd love to get that before I turn 25. I've said it for years now. I'd love to be a world championship before I turn 25. But yeah, I have a stacked roster. I mean, I'd love to fight anyone. All the girls are great. I'd love to fight Amber, because that was supposed to be our debut fight, and it would be a rematch fight for me. We fought when we were amateurs, but I know the UK is kind of locked up right now. I know they can't really, with the travel restrictions, but who knows, whoever they throw at me.
The stage is yours for the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you could follow me at Jackie Buntan. Simple enough. I guess I have to give a little shout out to my sponsor, Infight Style, always making me the cool shorts you see in my fights. My coach, Brian Popejoy from Boxing Works, my strength coach, Nick Curson from Speed of Sport, my good buddy takes photos and videos of me, Jeff DeHilio, all you guys. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Jackie, for doing this. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.